everything you have might be offline in the event of a power outage caused by any environmental thing. Last year we had a hurricane and we had a snowstorm, and both of those things affected the power in the same way, where the building couldn't come online. So then what do you do? We'll say that during this pandemic and people working from home and being more mobile, we've gotten better at people being able to get their job done even when they're not at the office. And so if the office doesn't have power, there's things that you are able to do from home. But the reality is that for your office to function, you have to have electricity, and sometimes that's what's affected the most during an event like that. Obviously, if the physical damage to your building hurts the data and the computers and those sorts of things, we want all that data backed up off-site. Every one of our clients has off-site copies of their data that we don't have to physically do anything for. It's automatic. It's part of something we offer. It's something we can monitor and make sure is working right every day. But in the event of a natural disaster, we want to know that that data is off-site secure, and we have the ability to bring it back and get things set back up from scratch. But you're going to be fighting against power primarily. And so as soon as your building has power back, we can get your network back up and going. But until then, you're left working from wherever you are, using internet service that you can get a hold of, and connecting to maybe some of the cloud applications that you have, even if you can't get to the data that might be at your office.
Yeah, that's a good point about the freeze, because we actually had a client who said, hey, we're going to send everybody home to work. Well, they lost power at the office. So all of their on-prem applications, they couldn't get to them. And so that ended up leading to a cloud migration conversation. So it's a good point.
I can imagine in the event of something like that happening, all of a sudden there might be holes in the equipment that they have. They might all of a sudden need more laptops, more endpoints. They might need all sorts of different equipment so their staff can work at home. With the supply chain issue happening right now, what does that look like? Can they quickly be back up and running with that new equipment?
The big thing on that, it just kind of depends on your style. Some people like loading up on inventory beforehand. We have a couple clients that buy inventory batches basically in the event of new hires or a transition from office to remote work. We have some that kind of play that on the nose when it happens, and sometimes they get lucky, sometimes they don't. So we do the best we can to find specs that they need that will work for their applications and go from there. But I've had better success with the people that tend to preload.
So if they don't get lucky and all of a sudden they need that equipment, right now, what does a worst case scenario look like? A couple of weeks, a month?
We've got some clients in the construction industry that have people that run CAD programs all day, every day. So they need ultra high-end specs. And those type of machines are coveted by people who mine crypto, by gamers. So I've seen 4 months for multiple top shelf manufacturers and vendors.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not just that too. It's servers. We're seeing that for most servers, SANs, storage area networks, that sort of thing. Yeah, higher end gear. I mean, it's tough. If you're an organization and you're not thinking about that stuff already, you're kind of behind the times. I mean, like Andrew was saying, get some inventory on hand. Think about the things that that is business essential, and make those decisions on the business level.
Would you say you need a plan now more than ever?
No, you start having interviews, and they start going well, let me know. And I will get a laptop en route for you.
I don't know if y'all have noticed, just even in my personal life, I can't get things in 2 days anymore.
Yeah.
And the truth is that all of the tech equipment that we want is even harder to get a hold of right now. We went through the effort of we stock some things so that we do have some inventory on hand for people, but it's leaving as fast as it's coming in. And that's with us sort of batch buying also in preparation for whatever, emergencies or new hires or whatever, because we know we can't get something in 2 days anymore.
iPads. Just had a client ask for an iPad. Apple doesn't have them. Apple, not just vendors, until mid-January.
Wow. So not only is it impacting, at the enterprise level, but also at the consumer level. So sounds like being prepared is very important, because if you're not, you're going to fall into that out of luck category, waiting a couple of weeks to even months at a time.
Yep. And it's peripherals too. Monitors use chips. Webcams use chips. When the pandemic really kicked off, webcams were very, very difficult to find for a minute.